Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Baruti Kafele. A highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Baruti Kafele.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to week 293 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in this morning. And I see it's a lot of YouTube. I told y'all, man, come off of Facebook for me. Come off of X. Come off of LinkedIn and slide on over to YouTube for me. I'm going to keep it on those platforms because there's a lot of people that are not going to know for a long time, right? But slide on over there to YouTube. But let me ask you this one favor. When you put your name up there, like, give me a name that I'm going to know it's you, right? Some of y'all get on YouTube and you use all these little weird names, man. I don't know it's you anymore. So change your name so, like, I know it's you, so that when I shout you out, I realize, oh, I know who that is. We got AP Patrick Lawrence. This is all YouTube right now, too, man. I appreciate y'all. Down in Connecticut, we got the dear Coley, North Brick City. We got Dr. Rachel Edeweke. She got this video out. She did this interview the other day. It's got 101 views, y'all. Y'all got to check it out. I don't remember the name of it, but she's being interviewed by a gentleman. You can go to right to her pages. All her pages are Rachel Edeweke, and check it out. They got 101 views, man. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of eyes on you, Doc. Let's go. We got Michael Benton, Cincinnati, Ohio. Grace Constance Sherrod. I'm sorry. Constance Sherrod is down in Pearl, Mississippi. Joseph Haruna, he said, greetings from Ethiopia. I told y'all, man, we international, baby. Greetings. Appreciate you being here, Joseph. We got Marsha Poe in San Diego. We got Grace Castaneda, Kyle, Texas. We got Rodney Richardson in Hampton, Virginia. Fatima Nelson, Pennsylvania. Mrs. Yolanda McKinney is in Texas. Takesha High is in Virginia. Principal Otis Kitchen II. He's in San Antonio, y'all. He's at the Innovative Schools Summit, taking in that information. Hey, Otis, next year, unless I'm misspeaking here, next year submit a proposal, right? Or you don't have to wait for San Antonio because they in all them cities now. So send a proposal so they can hear you. Maybe you did that. Maybe you spoke. I don't know, right? So Robin Snowden, Dr. Robin Snowden, Harambe, she's out in Fresno, California. We got Life Without Mrs. Olafuke in Sterling, Virginia. Chancellor Davis, Las Vegas, Nevada. I was out in Las Vegas all last week, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all a little something about that, too, in a little while. We got Lysandra Brackens in North Carolina. Stacy Joy. Man, all y'all on YouTube, man. I ain't seen a Facebook yet. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Stacy Joy is in Los Angeles, California. Appreciate you. Dr. Rella Hicks, Augusta, Georgia. John Herricks, Denton, Texas. Let me see. We got Tango Girl Viola is in Alaska. I appreciate you waking up so early this morning. Tango Girl Viola. I appreciate that because I last week I did this from Vegas and I struggled last week getting up at Pacific time. So I can only imagine. Vanessa Zeskin is in Connecticut. Charlena Hottie is in Norfolk, Virginia. Dr. Sheikah Houston is in South Carolina. And speaking of Dr. Sheikah Houston, she is one half of Create and Educate with Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30 every Saturday morning, preceded by Sean Hurt, School Turnaround Principal, 10 o'clock. These are all I'm going to say Facebook, right? But you know, they're on other platforms as well. And then myself at 10:55. That's, we call it Super Saturday, and then we round it off this Sunday with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, and that's at 6 o'clock Eastern time on Facebook. MPA Jaguars is the channel that they use, but we're all on YouTube as well. But like I said, we for those of you just checking in, we sliding over to YouTube, man. Eventually I will end our Facebook run, right? I won't do it right now because there's too many people that will not know, and they'll think that we discontinue. So, but please switch on over to YouTube. One of the reasons is because I can control the trolls, the spam, etc. in real time. I see it. I see all the comments. I can control it. I can delete it. I can block it. But on the others, I'd have to go into my phone and mess around and try to find it. I don't have that kind of time live, right? So just go to YouTube for me, because hey, y'all, let me tell you something. I got haters, man. I got haters in my life. That's not even one of my words, man. But there's so many young people on here. It's your word, right? So you know, I gotta be able to get rid of them quickly in real time, right? Because some of y'all be hitting me up. There's someone on here that you need to get rid. I know, I see them, but I can only deal with it on the YouTube side. Let's go. We got retired. Oh, by the way, with Dr. Sheikah Houston, the main reason I highlighted her new book, Amir's Awakening. I just ordered my copy. Get yourself a copy. I'll flash it on the screen next week. Probably we're gonna bring her on for a cameo too to talk about it. Maybe next week. Hear that, Dr. Houston, and we can do a little cameo on that as well with Dr. Tammy Taylor before my guests come up. But we'll talk about that later. But I want y'all to check that out. Amir's Awakening. Here we go. I'm almost done, y'all. We got retired Principal Dr. Makiva Jeter from Calumet City, Illinois, in the building. One of the best friends to the entire Fantastic Four in terms of just keeping people aware that we are live. Nicole Cornelius, 4613, is in the building. There's Principal Sean Hurt. Did a fantastic job this morning at 10, followed by Creating Educator as well. Where we at? I'm getting ready to end it, y'all. Principal Tammy Taylor, I see you, Dr. Tammy Taylor, in the building. Oh, I'm so glad you popped up. I'm gonna end with this one, y'all. Edwin Garcia. First of all, I just found out he was Dr. Edwin Garcia. He been rocking with us from day one back in May of 2020, right? And I didn't realize he had that doctorate, but he's Dr. Edwin Garcia, right? But I'm highlighting him, and I'm gonna end the shout outs with him because we all learned last week that he was selected as the visionary New Jersey Principals and Supervisors Association Visionary Assistant Principal of the Year. So what that translates into when you think about the National Association of Secondary School Principals, Jersey has their own little thing, and they call it NJPSA, New Jersey Principal Supervisors Association, but it still falls under that NASSP umbrella, right? At the elementary side, that NAESP umbrella. So he is essentially the NASSP, National Association of Secondary School Principals, Assistant Principal of the Year, right? Just that Jersey gives it its little flavor, right? So y'all clap it up, man. That's again, it's one of us, right? I'm not taking any credit for it whatsoever. I never do, right? But I will say he's one of us, right? So I gotta clap it up, man. I gotta clap it up, and do know that I feel a strong sense of pride because he's one of us, right? He's someone that tunes in faithfully. He's coming on as a guest. I don't know if did I give you that date? Yeah, I gave you the date, right? So he's coming on as a guest, and I'm just proud that yet another AP New Principals Academy fam, Super Saturday fam, Fantastic Four fam has been recognized nationally, right? Has been recognized statewide, right? That's a big deal. So Edwin, Dr. Garcia, congratulations to you. And hopefully it moves you further to that national spotlight with NASSP, right? Good stuff. Take a bow, my brother. That's good stuff. Let's go. So I'm gonna end my shout outs there. And I don't see my wife, but she gonna tell me she was on. So let me scroll this thing right quick. There she is. I gotta end it with my wife, man. I see the queen of the castle. We're not in the hotel room for a change, man. I'm back in the castle, man. Y'all ought to see this. Google me, man. It's like takes up a block. It's that big, right? It's the castle. Nah, y'all know I'm playing, right? Somebody be like, man, this dude live in a real castle. Nah. We just joking on that part, right? But Kimberly Broughton-Cafele, the queen of the castle, is my castle. That's all that matters. Is in the building. Let's go, y'all. Let me say formally to everybody now, good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 293 of the AP and New Principals Academy. And you know I forgot my word, consecutively. We have not missed a week. Not a week. We go hard for 293 weeks. 2 hours every Saturday morning. PD, professional learning for leaders. And I might say to you all before I start my announcements, I said this last week or the week before, but I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't do teacher trainings and seminars and workshops is the way I used to. Like I used to do them like every day, literally. I don't do much of them. So therefore, the new administrators don't have reason to know that I exist, right? So therefore, I go places and I meet these new assistant principals, these aspiring leaders, and I say, are you part of our fam? They're like, what's that? The AP New Principals Academy. They say, what's that? I got that this week, right? Like, what's that? So y'all got to tell them, man. Let these rookies know there's a platform set up for them. AP and New Principals Academy every Saturday at 10:55. It used to be when I was in them rooms every day with those teachers, I tell them, then they go on and become aspiring leaders and then assistant principals. So they know that the platform is there. But now I speak to leaders 95% of my time, right? So they know, but it's them young ones. They don't know, right? So let them know for me. Hit that share button, hit that retweet button. Let them know we are here. Let's go. Fam, same question I ask you all the time. How you feeling? How you feeling? If you're keeping up with the news, a whole lot went on this week, man. Woo. But the other questions, what were your wins last week, y'all? What'd you excel at? Or just what'd you win at? Right? What were your wins? And what will you do next week to take your leadership to another level, to a new height? Right? What will you do? You got to ask yourself that question every week, though. Those two questions. What were your wins? Because it's so easy to literally drown in your challenges, in your obstacles, in your pressures, in your demands. It is easy to drown in them. So I'm saying to you, ask yourself, what were your wins? And what will you do next week to take those wins to another level of accomplishment? That matters. Let's go, y'all. Let me get my shout outs in. Shout out to the 25th annual South Carolina Charter Schools Conference. That was in Hilton Head Island, I might add. South Carolina, man. We had a great time, man. Met a lot of good people, saw a lot of people that I knew, and quite frankly, ran into some folks who are part of the fam. So that's a good thing. So shout out to them. 25th annual South Carolina Charter Schools Conference. You all did a phenomenal job. They saw it not robbery to bring me out as the opening keynote speaker. So I hope I delivered, right? Secondly, this is a different kind of announcement. I just want to share this with you. I don't really have a reason for sharing this with you. I'm just going to share it with you. I made a post last week. My wife's birthday was last week, the 30th, which is in part why we were in Vegas, right? I guess in large part. We also celebrate. We acknowledge is a better word. Thanksgiving while we're in. When we're in Vegas or when we travel, we kind of travel on Thanksgiving now instead of being home, the traditional thing, right? So I posted this picture of my wife and I when we were dating, right? In the first year of us dating, I was 23 and she was 20. So I wrote something to the effect of chilling with my girlfriend back in 1984, blah, blah, blah. And you know something, y'all, some of you may notice that thing got 36,000 likes. It went viral. 2.1 million views. Let me say that again. 36,000 likes on a picture of me and my wife when we were kids, 23 and 20, and 2.1 million views. That is insane. So when I looked at the analytics, only 2% of the 2 million were people that follow me. So it went to people that I don't know. So what happened was all the stuff on my page, like the videos I shared of like my fam here, like the Fantastic Four, like Josh's video. Last time I checked, from what he does on Sunday, it surpassed 10,000 views, right? So and then my other fam on here, the same thing happened. Their view count just skyrocketed. Then all my posts from last week just went bananas. I'm like, man. So the people didn't just look at the video, the picture, but they scrolled my page. Then I went to Instagram and the same thing happened. All them folks went on my Instagram page and was liking. So it was just interesting. It was just an interesting dynamic of what happens when a post goes viral. So I say that to say this. Be careful when you want that stardom, right? Because it may not be what you want really. I don't have any criticism because not one person said anything foul. So that was a good thing. But I kept monitoring it to make sure that there was nothing foul being said so that I could delete it if so. But everything was, as they say, copacetic, right? So, so we were good. So I put that in my shout outs. Listen here, welcome to the first timers. If this is in fact your first time, it means you missed 292 weeks of this powerful platform. So go back to go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it. We have 24,600 some odd subscribers. So we're almost at 25,000. Hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, and then hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when we go live, right? Make sure you do that as well. And then just watch all the videos that you miss. Check them all out. They're there. 292 sessions. We're almost at 300, obviously, right? But make sure you do that for me. The new book, I told you last week, I need, I asked y'all, I just was bold with it. I said, we almost at bestseller, right? But we're not quite there. We're at the precipice. So if you don't have this book, in order for me to make the bestseller list, this is really for those of you that have been wanting to send me cash apps and all that. And I always tell y'all don't, right? Or I don't want it. If you want to bless a brother, get a copy of this, man. Get a copy of this, but you got to get it before December 16th because once it hits the anniversary, it can't be bestseller for this year, right? So it's got to be before December 16th. So if you don't have it, if you want to do your brother a solid, then go ahead and order the book. Get it from ascd.org, ascd.org, or you can just go to Amazon, but it's better at ascd.org in this case because of the count, right? So do me a solid, make this book a bestseller. It's the most important book I've ever written. It's the 14th book I've ever written, but this is the one. I don't think I'll ever write a book more significant than this book as it relates to school leadership because this is where the rubber meets the road, instructional leadership. So get yourself a copy. Speaking of instructional leadership, those of you who will be at the National Alliance of Black School Educators Conference this week in Chicago, join me on Friday at 10:45. Last year, the app said my session was full, and it wasn't full. I don't know why that glitch happened, but it made people, because then they saw me later like, man, I wanted to come to your session, but the app said it was full, the HOVA app, whatever they call that. So no, we ain't full. Come on to that session. If it says full, come anyway. I'll get you in there. 10:45, we're talking instructional leadership at the NABC conference in Chicago. It's at the Hyatt Regency. So make sure you, if you're there, you come see your brother at 10:45 to 11:45 this Friday. I think that's the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I have a conference coming up, and let me just put this on the screen. This is my one of my two conferences. I'm co-hosting with Dr. Tanya Breland and Dr. Erica Leak. This will be February 16th, right? We'll be right here in Jersey at Seton Hall University. My brother, Principal L. Dr. Salome Thomas L. will be the keynote. I'm one of the hosts, but I'm going to say something, right? So I will have words, I will have remarks. So come on to Seton Hall and join us. the website. You see it right on the left, and then you see the QR code on the right. Use either one, register, and hopefully we will see you at Seton Hall University. That school's closed. It's President's Day, so we'll see you February the 16th, 2026. Right. So that's that. And then my hang on, let me get myself back up here. All right, and then the academy. The School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele is July 9 and 10 in Savannah, Georgia this year. So July 9 and 10. We don't have the website up yet, the Eventbrite page, but it'll be up soon. So join me in Savannah, Georgia, July 9 and 10, right? And we're going to have a grand old time talking about something. I don't know yet, probably something around instructional leadership, but not a repeat of last year. So if you were with us last year, this will not be the same content. Right, I try to keep it fresh every year. All right, so that's that. Let me get to my monologue. I'm gonna keep it quick because I got the special guest on today, so I want to keep it quick. My monologue topic today is: Hey, principal, is your relationship with your assistant principal a healthy one? Again, hey, principal, is your relationship with your assistant principal a healthy one? You know, it was interesting when I was listening to Create and Educate today. Before me, I was listening to Dr. Houston and Dr. Taylor talking about essentially the same thing, the relationship between the principal and the assistant principal. So let me tell you what's, I talk about it all the time, but let me show you what's different today. Typically when I talk about that relationship, I'm talking about it from the vantage point of the assistant principal to the principal, right? And probably 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, I'm talking to the AP about how you make that relationship work with your principal. But I want to flip that on this monetary. I don't remember the person's name, but someone inboxed me. I get a zillion of them every week. So someone inboxed me and said, Principal Kafele, can you talk to me about my relation? I'm the principal, and my relationship with my assistant principal is off the rails. It's not a good relationship. It's not a healthy relationship. So I thought about it and I was going to respond, but I told her, I said, you know what? It's so much for me to write. Why don't you just tune in Saturday? That will be my monologue topic, right? So here we are. So listen, your principal and you got an AP and the relationship is not good. It's not healthy. You don't want this person in the building with you, whatever it is. I need to turn this into just a full session, 2 hours, because there's so much to say. I'm not going to do it any justice in 5 minutes, but I'll say this to you. It boils down, if you do a Google search right now, if you do a Chat GPT search right now, and you ask it, what is the number one reason that relationships, I'm talking about a couple now, relationships don't work? I promise you, it'll say something to the effect of, it could be a variety of factors, but at the core is communication, right? Communication. And when the communication is not there, these relationships go south. See, so the issue is not the reason that the relationship came to an end, not the issue per se, unless it was something egregious, obviously, but it's the lack of communication on the issue. So because the communication is not there on the particular issue, the particular concern, the relationship ceases to continue, right? So sometimes we think the issue, if it's egregious, yeah, right? But sometimes, no, oftentimes, if we were talking about the concern that we have, the issue that we have, communicating about it, being intentional and consistent with the communication around the issue or the concern, then we could resolve the issue or the concern. There's at least a higher probability, unless you just don't want to be in the relationship anymore. So what's that got to do with this monologue? Everything. So principal, you're having difficulty with your AP. Well, if I was doing this as a full session, I would do a portion of the session, a third of the session on, did you hire this person? That would be number one. Number two, did you inherit this person? And number three, was this person imposed on you? Right? So I would break that down into those three categories. That would probably take me about 2 hours, maybe an hour each. There's just a lot there. But I'm gonna say this to you. Your communication with your AP that you don't like, or your AP that's not getting it done, or your AP who seems lax, your AP that's distant from you, whatever the situation may be, you've got to initiate the communication. And it may have to be sustainable communication, where you guys are talking and you're talking and you're talking, you're having conversation. You may be having lunch. You may lunch together. You may go to a conference together. You may go to a seminar together, but you have quality time together where you are able to talk. You're able to converse. You're able to have a meeting of the mind. Because if it's just a thing where you go to work, that person's at the job at the same place, and you from a distance, oh man, this person doesn't measure up. Oh man, I don't like this person. Oh man, I don't have the right person. Oh man, this person can't do the job. But where's the communication? Where's the accountability? Because see, with the communication comes the accountability. Right? But if you're not having that conversation, because I cut my own self off. Here's the reason why. Because you're the leader of the school. So whomever that person is, let me wipe this thing off, right? Whomever that person is as your AP, how that person functions under your leadership is a reflection of your leadership. Y'all ain't hear that. Let me say that to you again. How that AP functions under your leadership is a reflection upon your leadership. See, so you got to look at you. And you know, I talk about those 4 levels all the time. You got to engage in the self-reflection. You've got to engage in the self-assessment. You've got to engage in the self-adjustment. You've got to engage in the self-improvement, holding yourself accountable for getting better and better and better and better at what you do. And a part of what it is that you want to get better at what you do is how I relate to, relate with, and communicate with my assistant principal. That's on you. Enough said. I'll have more to say about it in a subsequent presentation, either solo or with guests, because I need a couple hours on that one. There's a lot to be said there, right? A whole lot. Let's go, man. I got a guest in the building. I want to get her on up here now. Let's go. Where we at here? Yeah, let me fix this screen right quick and get it where I want it to be. There it is. Hey there, Dr. Hussein. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Principal Kafele. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you on in the building with us on this 293rd Saturday of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me, before I read your bio so that everybody knows who you are, let me be up front and tell the fam why you're here this week. Fam, before I get into this, do me a favor, hit your retweet, your repost, your tag somebody, text somebody, share the video, call somebody, let them know we are here. We're talking school, but we're gonna talk a couple of other things. We're talking about leading through adversity, and Dr. Hussein was my scheduled guest for May 13th, and she'll still be my guest on May 13th. But then the news got weird this week, right? And when I say the news, I mean the television news. It got a little weird this week. So I knew that Dr. Hussein was Somali, and I knew I had her scheduled for May 13th, but I reached out to her and I said, look, I'm going solo on, because it's my solo day. I said, I'm going solo. I want to give that up. I want you to come on here, right? And she said, let's do it, right? So I was very intentional about why I brought Dr. Hussein on today, right? So I don't want you all to run away from it and thinking we're going to do a news broadcast, because we're not. We're still talking leadership. But I want you to hear what she has to say. And I want you to hear some thoughts I have as well. So let me read the bio. She sent me the short version, y'all. Dr. Salma Hussein is a trailblazing school principal, speaker, and leadership coach who made history as the first Somali American female public school principal in Minnesota. With a background in clinical social work, culturally responsive leadership, and youth development, she leads with a deep commitment to belonging, equity, and whole child well-being. Dr. Hussein is known for building joyful, accountable school cultures where students thrive and educators grow through collaboration, data-driven decisions, and compassion leadership. Through her work as founder of Dr. Salma Speaks, she amplifies the voices of marginalized communities, mentors leaders, and inspires courage, purpose, and possibility in education and beyond. So obviously with that, founder Dr. Salma Speaks, meaning that she is also a speaker consultant, right? So we'll talk about that as well. So once again, folks, I'm ready to get into it. But again, I want to remind everybody, hit the share button, hit the retweet button, hit the repost button, tag somebody, text somebody, hit up them Facebook groups, those leadership groups, let them know we are here live. And also hit that like button for me, particularly on the YouTube side. Hit that like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, even if you don't like it, hit it anyway, right? Hit that like button, right? If you're here, you must like somebody here. If you don't like her, you like me. So hit the like button for me. That matters. That activates those algorithms. We live in an algorithm-driven world, so just hit that like button for me. Hey, Dr. Hussein, let's set the stage here. Let me bring myself down now. Let's set the stage here. As an educator, particularly as a principal, but not limited to as a principal, as an educator, who is Dr. Salma Hussein?
Thank you so much, first of all, for this opportunity. I shared with you backstage that when I was looking to step into the principalship as an assistant principal, I was looking and received a lot of rejection. So, for those of you that are aspiring assistant principals, I want you to know the rejections are part of the experience. And it was really hard to get those rejections. And then, Principal Kafele, I came across your YouTube channel, and I am a leader who likes to write. So, this is from 2020 notes that I took preparing for my AP interview. And one of the things that I wrote down from your video is that I understand my role is, as it relates to being the assistant principal, is to assist the principal who is leading the building. So I know that there are many principals who may not have yet done the hard work to be confident in their leadership and may be intimidated sometimes by the assistant principals. So for those assistant principals who have light, I'm not asking you to dim your light, but what Principal Kafele taught me in his videos is that you need to know your place and you need to know how to speak the language to get that yes to begin your journey. So before being a principal, I am a Hoyo, and that means mother in Somali. I have two beautiful kids, Adnan, who is 9 years old, and Sophia, who is 7. They are my world. I love them very much. I did just talk to them and told them today I've got an important meeting, so I need you guys to keep those voices down. I am a daughter. I am an immigrant. I came to America when I was 7 years old. I am someone who loves humanity. I love to use knowledge to bring people together. I love to build community. For all the people that are listening, especially if you are African American, I just want to use this opportunity to say, as a Somali woman, I love my African American brothers and sisters. I love everybody. My love isn't just limited to people that look like me. And I just feel that education has given me the confidence to show up as myself and to take up space and to invite people to do good and be good. And most importantly, to connect with themselves first and foremost before they attempt to lead anybody else.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I appreciate that too. The principalship. I have nothing but the utmost respect for people who aspire and ultimately become principal? Because I consider the principalship a much more complex role, a much more demanding role than even the superintendent of schools, because we're in the building, right, with these two populations of people, children and adults, that we lead simultaneously, right? And then within the adult population, you got certificated staff, right? But then you got blue collar staff. And here we are leading these diverse populations of people within a school. But then within that come all the pressures and demands, the challenges and obstacles of leadership. And most of what we do will never show up in a job description, right? It's just, we got to think on our feet, and we got to do, right? We got to make decisions. We got to act. We got to go. So my question to you, with all that and more, why the principalship?
That's an excellent question. I am someone who grew up seeing my dad work a very hard job at the airport. I grew up in public housing, and I remember not feeling confident in my situation. And I remember growing up, and I knew that education was the pathway to freedom and liberation. And for me, as a principal, I have the privilege and an honor to really demonstrate and show respect to every single person, from my custodian to my parents to the students. Principal Kafele, I tell the children at my school that it is an honor for me to be their principal and that they are my bosses.
Mm.
Without children, I don't have a job. So my lens in leadership really is to set the culture that we are servant leaders, that as a public school, we are an institution that respects everybody. And the non-negotiable in our school and in our district is that everyone is welcomed. So for me, the principalship is being able to be the change that I needed to see Principal Kafele growing up, and to be that role model. In my room right now, my daughter, who goes to the school that I lead, wrote
Yeah.
down, "My mom is making history." So, really, it's to be a role model for my daughter and for other kids, but really to communicate to everybody that a Somali woman can be a effective principal, not just for Somali kids, but for all kids. So for me, it's about representation. Representation matters because it took me a long time to heal from the lack of representation. And early on in my jobs, Principal Kafele, I was working to empower children when I didn't truly feel empowered deep down inside. So I had to do some soul searching and reflect on the lack of representation and how that made me feel like less than. So I had to heal from that. And now I'm able to show up confidently and know that I am enough and I don't have to be like anybody else. However, I do have to respect everybody else.
That is so interesting. That's like a whole topic, right? Um, I want to go off script now. So the representation. How did you find that?
That is, I had to search for the representation, Principal Kafele. Living in Minnesota, I went to Minneapolis Public Schools, which is a great school district led by a beautiful African American sister currently. And I did have people, but it felt like my whole world, and interactions, even to what I watched on TV, like Dawson Creek and 901, 90210, all everything that I consumed was not people that look like me. So I was very fortunate to be on social media. I had a LinkedIn profile, and I was tapped on the shoulder by this phenomenal African American brother named Dr. Kasim Abdurazak, and he asked me to come work with him as a clinical therapist in training. And in that relationship, he was able to ask me one key question, which was, Selma, what sort of imprint has your educational experience left in you? And that's when I made the connection that the lack of representation made me internalize this feeling of inferiority, this feeling of less than. So I made it my life's work to heal and to learn and to be in relationship and to reach out to people and to like spend time with myself. A lot of us Principal Kafele feel like we need to be everywhere. And I realize that true healing starts with like sitting down, picking up a journal and writing down and making those connections and unlearning some of the things that I have learned along the way. So I've had to seek representation. I love learning from you as well. I love celebrating everybody that's doing good work. I celebrate and I ask people, just like I asked you and said, Principal Kafele, I love your work. I want to connect.
Yeah.
So for the people that are listening, don't be shy to reach out to people and say, hey, I see you and I want to learn with you and I want to be in community with you. Most, if not all people will say yes.
And before I want to build on what you just said prior to, but let me hit that point now. See, so in other words, just to be crystal clear, folks, and I'm not saying hint to everybody out here. I'm really not. But this platform is booked until June. I'm completely booked. It's just a ton of people who are scheduled to come on. I didn't know Dr. Hussein last week this time. I didn't know her. I didn't even know she existed. She sent me an inbox and told me what she said about me, and I said, "Wow, I want to let's schedule you for May, right?" Because I had one little opening in May, but then the news happened, as I told you before, this week. So I reached back out to her. Let's do it this Saturday. So sometimes, some people fall back, and sometimes you got to take a step, right? And here we are having this conversation. Right. But then going back to the representation, like me, I'm growing up here in Jersey. I'm growing up in African American city, East Orange, New Jersey. So I know I'm Black, but I don't know what that means. I just know I'm Black. But then at the age of like 23, 24, I stumble on this little old classic called The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And that book steered me right into the classroom. I mean, literally, I don't know that I would have become a teacher if I didn't read this book. But in a broader context, it gave me better understanding of how I went through 12 years, 13 years with kindergarten, 14 years of pre-K of miseducation. So I had no reason to know who I was historically until I became a reader. And this was one of the catalysts, right? So that's critical, that representation. So now I move differently for many years now than I probably would have if I didn't become that reader and then understand who that was looking back at me in my mirror. Great stuff. Let's go. So Dr. Hussein, you're in the school leading every day, and then you got the reality of the world outside of the school. My question to you, and this is for the audience as well, for the fam, as I call the audience, how do you go about decompressing at the end of a day, if you do, because I don't want to make assumptions, but how do you go about decompressing toward protecting your mental and emotional health?
I love that. That's a powerful question. I am a person of faith, and for a long time, I didn't feel like I could be open and honest about being a Muslim woman, although I wear my hijab proudly. And then I've seen leaders like um, Dr. Muhammad Khalifa and other incredible leaders who are honest about who they are. So for me, my faith is my compass. I know that God is always with me, and I speak to God. I pray. I pray for myself. I pray for my school community. So I am a person of faith, and also being a mother. It's the way that I decompress is by cuddling with my kids. Spending time with my mom and dad. I want you to know, Principal Kafele, there was a time when I felt really like I felt not very comfortable letting people know when people had fun plans on the weekend of going hiking and camping and biking. And back then, I didn't do any of those things, and I still don't do them right now. But back then, people would ask, like, Salma, what are you doing? And I tell them, I'm going to my parents' house. And I felt like I didn't belong. But now I proudly tell folks, like, my weekends are for family. I'm going to mom and dad's house. I still don't bike, I still don't camp, but just being in relationship with my family keeps me whole I am a principal. I love my school community. I love the children that I serve and the teachers and staff that I get to work with and the families that I get to be in relationships with. And my principalship is not my entire identity. I am more than the principalship. I am a human being. I am a wife. I am a daughter. I am a friend. I am a sister. And it's important for me to do the best that I can as a principal and also prioritize my family. And I heard you talk about your anniversary and just celebrating your wife. And love takes time and communication. And I am proudly married for 10 years. And I know that to make our marriage a successful marriage requires us to spend time together and prioritize our relationship. So it's a combination of several different things, quite honestly.
Yeah. You know, I was reading I read a lot of things on you over the week. One of the things was your bio, and you kind of answered this, but I'm still put it out there. You went from, this is from your website. You said you went from low confidence, questioning whether you belonged in leadership, to being grounded in purpose, rooted in community, and growing daily in confidence and courage. When I read that, particularly what you evolved into, and you make that distinction between principle and who you are away from the school, I too, I was one of those. I think my whole world was. I didn't call myself Principal Kafele as a principal. That's the stage name, right? I was Mr. Kafele, right? But I was Mr. Kafele, I felt like 24/7. Like even at home, I'm still thinking about this thing I do during the day. It wasn't until much later that I started leaving Principal Kafele in the car and coming in as husband, right? Coming in as father, that type of thing, and not trying to be that guy that the rest of the world may know, right? But that took so long. What is your message to the leaders watching? And we have a relatively young viewership, young fam that watch because of the name of the platform. What is your message to them about transitioning out of that role and getting on with the rest of your life from time to time? What would you say to them?
I would say to them that you do not have to prove your worth, that you do not have to perform. You are worthy of the positions that you have, and the systems that we all work in at times may invite us, give us opportunities to engage with work outside of work. And I want to let you know that you have permission to disengage and
Mm,
not engage. Um, no one gets an award for being overworked or being burnt out. It is important that you prioritize yourself, and to do that, Principal Kafele requires us to be right within. If we don't know who we are, and if we don't love who we are, and if we don't spend time acknowledging our journey, where we've started, where we are, where we want to go, then we can become really busy in being busy. So
mm,
connect with yourself and prioritize yourself. Leaders are readers, just like Principal Kafele said. Read. And at the end of this segment, I'd love to just share a few books that have helped me be the person that I am. It really is a journey, and you have to commit to that journey.
love it, love it, love it. Doc, you are the first woman Somali public school principal in the entire state of Minnesota. Talk to us about that.
I hope my Minnesotan family is listening to me. And by family, I mean everybody. I want you to know that I did make history as the first Somali public school principal. However, I know deep down inside that there were many people who were ready to have that opportunity, but were not given that opportunity. So, me making history isn't because there weren't people that were qualified. Me making history is that I was positioned to have phenomenal people like Dr. Teresa Battles, who recently retired, as being the superintendent of Burnsville, Egan Savage, and Dr. Chris Belmont, who is my assistant superintendent. Two people who saw me and were able to give me that yes. So if you are listening, I want you to know that making history, quite honestly, is about opening the door and seeing people and seeing potential. There are so many people who are looking for something. And as you're saying no to people, ask yourself, are you being a gatekeeper or a gateway to success? We should all be gateways to success, supporting each other and creating opportunities. So for me, I use the opportunity to say, yes, I made history and I'm so happy. And my purpose is to make sure that every single person who is good and loves kids and respects adults and loves education has the opportunity to lead in a capacity that works for them, and not to limit people based on their identities. Principal Kafele, in doing some of the networking that I did, there were people that told me point blank that I was only able to be a leader for Somali children. And that's very disheartening,
Mm,
because my humanity isn't just tied to Somali. When I say I'm grounded in community, my community includes all good people, people that I've never even met in real life yet. So we have to check the bias that we have and make sure that we are always doing right. And by doing right, it's about giving people the opportunity to also have a seat at the table.
love it. Love it. Great stuff. Great stuff. Let's get a little heavier. The systems that that you're building at Gideon Pond Elementary in Burnsville, Minnesota, center on equity, identity, high expectations, and support. And when I say the systems you're building, I mean under your leadership, right? So I know that there's a lot of folks in that building who are engaged in the heavy lifting, the rolling up of the sleeves. But we also all have a leader that spearheads the work. So let's break these down. Equity. How are you defining this word equity? Because it has a zillion different definitions, connotations. How are you defining it? I'm gonna give you a three-parter, and if you need me to repeat anything, just let me know. How are you defining it? Number one, why does it matter? Number two, and how are you ensuring that it is reality for your students? Number three.
I love
So
that.
yeah, how are you defining it?
Yep. For me, equity and equality are different. I live in Minnesota, which is a great state. Grateful to the Minnesotans. And in Minnesota, we do have the highest achievement gap between our students of color and our other, like our non students of color. So that's a reality in Minnesota. So for me, equity really is about individualizing what we are doing to ensure that every student gets what they need, that every student gets what they need. And as you mentioned, Principal Kafele, I work with a phenomenal staff at Gideon Pond Elementary. Gideon Pond Elementary, in my opinion, is the best elementary school in the whole world, not just in Minnesota.
Mm,
And it's that way because we have teachers and parents and students and staff who love our school. And for me, equity really is, again, meeting people where they're at, respecting people, learning about our students, making sure that we have empathy for our students and not sympathy. We don't need anyone to feel sorry for our children. We need people to feel with our children and to understand the systems that make certain situations that our children and families are experiencing a reality. So for me, that's how I define equity. It's each student giving them what they need. The way that we measure equity is we do progress monitoring. We look at what students, where they are starting. We're very lucky to do Fast Bridge where there's testing in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring. And then between those times, we also have weekly CTs, collaborative teams, PLCs. Our teachers are data driven. They are making decisions each and every week based on data to ensure that our students are moving forward. We have high expectations and we also provide high support for each of our kids. Um, and what was the last question, Principal Kafele?
Yeah, and how are you ensuring that equity is a reality beyond cliche in your school?
100% having the conversations with the staff, having the conversations with the parents, understanding that equity isn't just something that we do, equity is who we are. We are working to work together to make sure that our students have a good experience at our school, that our students feel good about themselves. Principal Kafele, majority of my career has been as a secondary leader, and now I have the privilege of honor of being a principal at an elementary school these last 4 years. And through that journey, I have seen at the secondary, I have met students who felt hopeless, who did had low self-esteem, and who didn't really feel like they had anything to look forward to. And then I arrive at an elementary school, and the kids have joy, and they are confident, and they want to learn, and they're hopeful. And I have asked myself, what happens to children from when they are elementary to by the time they get to high school? And a lot of harm happens. So my job as an equity leader, as a principal, is to make sure that we are not harming kids, that kids are able to come into our schools and we are able to protect and serve our children. And as you talked about the misinformation, the miseducation of the Negro child, it's so important that people don't feel shame when they hear that, and we have to acknowledge the truth that the system is designed in ways where there is a lot of miseducation. And we all have to acknowledge that that's true and then commit to doing the right thing instead of sitting in shame and saying, I'm not part of the problem. Well, we're all part of the system of education, and we have a responsibility to do right and make sure that our children, especially our Black and brown boys, are able to come into school and have the opportunity and space to learn and have experiences and not become defined by those experiences. I have a little sticker on my computer, Principal Kafele, that says, I can't keep calm. I have a Black son. And my 7-year-old daughter was like, Mommy, what do you mean by that? And I was like, Mom, the reality is little boys like your brother don't always experience the world through, people aren't kind to them. People see them older than their actual age. They make a mistake. Instead of giving them grace, folks are more concerned about punishing them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a reminder that I am here to protect and serve the children, and I am also here to protect and serve my staff and help them understand that they are not bad people. They are good people, and we have to commit to unlearning the things that are harmful for kids and for building those honest, authentic relationships with the families that we are privileged to serve and collaborate with.
Love it, love it. And if there's someone on the call right now and you jumped on literally about a minute ago and you heard Dr. Hussein say the miseducation of the Negro, right? And you're like, why did she say the word Negro? She was quoting from a book title, right? that I introduced. This book was written in 1933. For anybody on the call right now that's never heard of this book, the author is the creator of what was once called Negro History Week, which evolved into Black History Month. So the title is The Miseducation of the Negro, right? So I just want to make sure in case somebody came on right when you said that, like, huh? Yeah, no. I had already talked about the book, so she just reinforced what I had said. Good stuff, good stuff. That's the world we live in, so we always got to be on top of things, right? The second one, Dr. Hussein, was identity. And let me say this before you jump in, before I throw the question at you. When I went into classroom, I went into teaching unapologetically with an agenda. Right. My agenda had nothing to do with in the pure sense of teaching language arts, math, science, and social studies. Right. My agenda was to introduce my students. I was in the city upon which I was born and raised, East Orange, New Jersey, to teach the children who they are, to give them a sense of identity through the language arts, through the mathematics, through the social studies, through the science. Not just, I want to be a teacher and I can't wait to teach science, language arts, social studies, and whatever one I didn't just name. It was, I'm going to use those content areas as a vehicle to put a mirror in front of you to help you to develop this strong sense of pride in who you are, not only in America, but going back to the continent of Africa, right? So creating this sense of identity, this African identity, this African American identity that wasn't tainted by pop culture. But then I become a principal, and I didn't shift or pivot one iota. I was still that guy in the classroom that said these children are not going to achieve at the levels that we would want them to if they're looking in the mirror and not recognizing who that is looking back at them. I needed them to understand the power in the reflection, right? Historically, culturally speaking. So with all that said, looking at you as a teacher and a principal, matter of fact, that's me. When you talk about the systems that you are building, I'm looking at the wrong set of notes. Talk to us about the role of identity for your children. And I know they're not all like I think you have a 40% Somali population. So I know that you have a much more diverse population than I do. But I also know that word identity is a part of the systems that you're building. So go ahead and respond to that.
Definitely. And Principal Kafele, in this climate that we're in, there is, there's a feeling that some of our community might have that some cultures are, celebrated and acknowledged and others are not. So for me, it's been really important to acknowledge that at Gideon Pond Elementary in our district, we value everybody. And everybody means everybody. We celebrate all celebrations. We are a public school and we pride ourselves in being a school of accommodations. I remember when we had Ramadan, we were interviewed, and there were people that were upset that we were providing Muslim students with a space to pray, and people felt that that was, not respecting the separation of church and state. And it was important for me to remind people we're not grabbing kids and telling them to pray. However, as part of their social emotional learning SEL, Muslim students have asked for a space to pray. And as a public school, our jobs is to accommodate and to provide supervision for the children to complete that requirement of their faith. And if there are other students of faith or no faith that need an accommodations, we will meet with you. So I'm just very blessed to lead a building of staff who are culturally aware, and they are always learning on their own, not just when we have professional development. They are learning about our student identities and their cultures, and they make it a point to incorporate culture and identity into what kids are learning, not just for Black History Month, but for all days of the school year. Our library is another way in which we embed identity. We have books that represent our children. My daughter, when she was in kindergarten, she would bring a lot of books with women with hijabs because she sees her mom wearing a hijab. So it's been really important for us to remind people that we acknowledge everybody, we celebrate everybody, and we have to find opportunities beyond major holidays to embed culture. Both of my third grade classrooms do a culture identity project where kids tap into their cultures and they celebrate their cultures, and it's every single one. Sometimes some communities, Principal Kafele, may feel like I don't have a culture. And we know that everyone has a culture. So it's really awesome to see all kids acknowledging where their families are from and learning about their cultures and having pride in their cultures and learning to respect and learn about their classmates' cultures and identities as well.
Love it. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Let's go to high expectations, the third pillar. And we know, anybody in education knows that this term high expectations can be nothing more than cliche, right? So my question to you is how do you take this term high expectations and make it a part of the fabric of your school that this is who we are?
That's a really great question, Principal Kafeli, and it really is a work in progress. We are always working to check our bias because bias is real. I, as Salma Hussein, have bias, and it's really important to be in relationships with the students. The high expectations come from respecting our students, knowing our students, believing in our students. That teacher belief gap is real. If we don't believe that kids can learn, then we tend to set the expectations lower. When I mentioned about trauma, we want staff to be trauma informed. However, we don't want staff to use that trauma to lower the expectations for students. Students are more than the experiences that they're having. They want us to have compassion, they want us to have understanding, and they want us to have empathy, not to feel sorry for them, sympathy. It's different. So the high expectations comes from having those data driven conversations every single week during collaborative teams,
Mm.
holding students accountable. I'm really big on restorative practices. When students do misbehave, it is our responsibility to call students in a respectful manner and communicate to them the high expectation that we have of them. So the high expectation isn't just for academics, but it's about how they show up, how they communicate, how they see themselves, how they speak about their futures, how they speak about their families. And it starts with us as the adults modeling that for our students and communicating explicitly to our students that we believe in them, that we see them, that we care for them. Our school is really big on positive affirmations. And now that we are Facebook friends, Principal Kafela, you'll notice that every single morning when I wake up, I create a morning affirmation for myself, and many of my community have found it helpful. And at Gideon Pond Elementary, many, if not all of my teachers are big on affirmations too. So throughout our school, we have positive affirmations. And those affirmations are good for the kids and they're good for us and they're good for the parents when they come to visit our school. So it's truly all hands on deck and a continuous work.
I saw those affirmations, and you're like myself with that. I'm an affirmation guy, and I literally created well over 500. And I said to myself, I'm going to just use mine instead of using celebrities, and I had them all over the building. It's all over the building, everywhere you went, even in the restrooms. There's these affirmations. So what it did was, the classroom was the teacher's space. The building was my space, right? It's the children's space, obviously, but it was my classroom. So now I got all my stuff out there. I got the posters. I got everything. So it was like, it allowed me not to just be where my feet were, but it was like, everywhere you go, that's that guy. That's him, right? Because I'm trying to build this representation, right? This sense of identity throughout the school. So great stuff, great stuff, great stuff. The last one, this word support. When I bring on a guest, I look all over the place. Where can I find some information? So I went on your school website, and I went to your principal's message, and you said here, you said every student will feel and know that we, the adults at Gideon Pond, care about them and their futures. To do this, we will invest in building relationships with each student and working with them as partners in their education. Now, before I go to the question with you, let me use this as an opportunity to talk to the fam real quick. I got this. This is just a quote from a larger paragraph, a larger description on the website coming from the principal's message, right? So to the fam out there, as you've heard me say in the past, those of you who have been on here before, when I'm preparing to go to a school to do seminars and workshops and all that kind of stuff, I always go to the principal's, to the school website, and then to the principal's page, because I want to learn about the principal. But I would say, in more times than not, I'll say about maybe 80% of the time, there is no principal's message. So therefore, I'm going in there blind relative to who the principal is, what your vision may be, etc. In most cases, there's no photographs. I don't even know who the principal is. I got to go all over the internet looking for what this person looks like, right? So that's very important that you have the assistant principal as well. You have a message on your screen, on your page. You have your own link that's just dedicated to you. And here you get to tell the world, this is who I am, right? So with that said, what I just read, if I need to read it again, I will. You tell me. All I want to ask you, describe what I just read. What does that look like?
As I heard you read that, that gave me goosebumps because I want you to know, Principal Kafele, being the child of immigrants, my mom and dad really wanted me to become a medical doctor. And they wanted me to find a way out of poverty. And I have always loved children. When I first went on Twitter, my hashtag was at Inspire the Youth. And now, Principal Kafele, to have a career where I get to connect with children, support children, champion children, let them know that I see them, that I love them, that I care about them is such an honor and privilege. So, what that looks like is really being present, getting to know kids, learning the names of children. In the summer, Principal Kafele, I study my school yearbook because names really matter. And it's been really important for me to connect with kids using their names, noticing when kids are not having a good day. I noticed one of my students this week was having a really hard day, and they told me, Miss Salma, nothing is going my way. And I noticed them, I gave them a hug and gave them a little heart shaped fidget. And the next day, they shared with me, like, thank you for checking in with me. So for me, it's about being available. I'm in that lunchroom, I'm in the hallways. The kids are like, are you a lunch staff now? I'm like, I'm everything the school needs me to be. I'm mopping the floors because it's winter now and the floors are wet. I am a leader who loves the people that I have the privilege of working with and the people that I get to serve, and reminding children that they are powerful and that they don't just come into school to get knowledge, but that they have power in our building. They have power, and every single adult that's in the building works on their behalf and with them. And if something isn't going well, we need to have a conversation together and hear their point of view and do better. That growth mindset, like, as an adult, I can make mistakes, and when I do, I want you to call me in and let's work together to make it right.
That's right. That's right. Good stuff. And real quick before I move on to the fam out there, those of you that checked in after the morning announcements, we're trying to switch over to YouTube entirely, right? We've been on YouTube from the beginning, but we've been on YouTube, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. We're trying to bring everybody over to YouTube now. That's going to take a while because everybody doesn't watch consistently every week. So we'll be on all 4 platforms for a little while. But just if you can, if not now, then the next time you tune in, which hopefully will be next week, switch on over to YouTube, right? I just want to bring everybody on one platform now, right, for multiple different reasons. But just do that for me. That's very important to me, right? Other than that, let's go. Before we get into a little bit of Minneapolis, I want to ask you this one more thing. There's another area that really stood out for me as far as your work is your deep commitment to belonging and whole child well-being. Those are critical. And I got to tell you, I'll just say this publicly now. I've said it before I turn it over to you. Belonging, feeling a sense of belonging doesn't end as when you come out of childhood into adulthood. I'm 65 years old. And I'm still very much cognizant when I walk into a convention center, when I walk into a school library, a school auditorium, a school cafeteria, I'm still very much cognizant as to whether or not I belong in that space, right? And I'm never going to outgrow that. That always matters. And if they're going to get the best presentation out of me, it's going to be dictated on if I feel like I belong, if I feel welcome, and if I feel like I belong. And if I don't feel welcome, if I don't feel like I belong, then my mind is more so on my watch than it is my presentation. I can't wait to get out of there because I don't feel like I belong there. I don't feel accepted there. I don't feel welcome there. Right. So therefore, when we talk about youngsters in school, and I might add staff, it's so important that youngster feels like I'm a part of this community. But instead of me giving you my answer and you let me be quiet, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree, Principal Kafele. It is important for our students to know that they belong and to feel that they belong. It's important for our parents to know that they belong, and that our staff to know that they belong, and that I know that I belong. And belonging is something, Principal Kafele, that I've searched outwardly, and I've realized that I have to first belong to myself, first and foremost. And when I know who I am and I love who I am and I know my purpose, I'm better positioned to show up in spaces and not seek that external validation, and be grounded in who I am. Of course, I want the space in which I am a part of to welcome me, but I know that my belonging comes from within. And for our families, Principal Kafele, I'd love to hear from you if, when you were a principal, if parents had the opportunity to come into the schools. Like, one of the ways in which I show our parents that we show our parents that they belong is that at Gideon Pond Elementary, I have the best staff. Our staff are amazing. They meet with families. We have 70% of our kids are students of color. Our parents are very relational. All of our parents are. So they're able to walk into the school, connect with the teacher. Our parents are able to walk into the school, of course, checking in with the main office, and bring hot meal, like cooked food for their children. I have a group of 5 Somali moms that come every single day to have lunch with their children.
Mm,
And finding out, Principal Kafele, that there are schools within my state and probably in other states that do not allow that. Again, I'm all for safety, and we have safety measures at Gideon Pond Elementary. And if we are serious about inclusion and belonging and about community and about respect, we have to partner with our families and look at what are barriers that prevent families from feeling that belonging that we can eliminate.
yeah. See, my response would be, when a parent enters a building, and this depends on the community. In my case, I got security in the building, right? Because I'm in an urban environment. So if security is the first person they're going to see, then my security understood from me that parents have to feel welcome when they walk into the school. If you're intimidating, if you're rude, if you don't make them feel at home, then that becomes our brand. That becomes our identity. That when people talk about our school, that's how they're going to describe us. So my security understood that. And now when they walk in, they're greeted with a smile. They're greeted cordially. They're greeted as somebody that matters. There's a big sign that says "Welcome, parents," right? Huge sign, right? Then you obviously you go from security to the main office. So now that whether it be the head secretary, whomever that person would be, once again we had that conversation. I need parent to feel welcome. Right. Even if it's a parent that was angry last week, we're going to get past that. Right. And I'm going to play a role in getting us past that. But I want to make sure that, because see, let me personalize it again. I go into places as a presenter, and I'm treated rudely because they don't know that I'm the guest speaker yet. Right. So then when they figure that part out, now they switch. But I'm like, okay, but now that you know that I'm this speaker, but in my mind, then I see how you are on a normal basis, right? So then I go to the principal, right? This person has been this way all along, and you know that, right? So now that becomes the brand, because when I leave out of there, in my mind, that's the impression I'm leaving with, right? Not the revised one, because you found out I wrote books and I'm a speaker and all that kind of thing, right? No. And you want a selfie with me now, right? I'm going on, right? I'm going on how you greeted me when I walked in, when you thought I was maybe a parent, right? So, or even it was, like on a professional development day. So school's closed. So you think I'm some parent that showed up because I thought that school was open, right? So now you're gonna be rude with me. School's closed. I know, that's why I'm here. So all that kind of stuff. And then what you said about them being able to come in and be a part of this, we always invited that. I want you to be in the classroom. I want you to be a part of us. I don't want my teachers to be afraid or intimidated by you either. So we're on the same page with that. That matters, because see, that's synergy. And when you got parents working in conjunction with staff and with school, then we increase the probability that we're going to reach these heights that we want to reach anyway. So yeah, it matters. It matters. Let's switch gears. A lot going on this week in the news. A lot going on the ground in Minneapolis, St. Paul in particular. Not to limit it to those two cities, but in other parts of the state as well. So I just want to read an excerpt that I literally took off the internet. But just in terms of my words, just a lot going on for all the wrong reasons, right? So let me clear my screen here and get myself where I want to be. Where we want to be. That's not it. Yeah. So here we go. And I took this off the web. President Trump on Tuesday said he did not want Somalis in the U.S. because, in quotes, they contribute nothing. The president spoke soon after a person familiar with the planning said federal authorities are preparing a targeted immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota that would primarily focus on Somali immigrants living unlawfully in the U.S. And to give the fam a little bit of background on the numbers in Minnesota, an estimated 260,000 people of Somali descent were living in the U.S. in 2024. That's 260,000, according to the U.S. Census Bureau's annual American Community Survey. The largest population is in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area known as the Twin Cities, home to about 84,000 residents, most of whom are American citizens. Ohio, Washington, and California also have significant populations. Almost 58% of the Somalis in Minnesota were born in the U.S. Of the foreign-born Somalis in Minnesota, an overwhelming majority, 87%, are naturalized U.S. citizens. Of the foreign-born population, almost half entered the U.S. in 2010 or later, according to the Census Bureau. They include many who fled the long civil war. I believe it began in 1991 in their East African country and were drawn to the state's welcoming social programs. With that, I want to show a video that you did that went viral this week. And folks, you all understand how Instagram and all that works, and it doesn't always, reels work, and it's not always a progress bar. So it may start in the middle, and I'll let it play again. So let me get it up here. Let me see if I can do this right on the first go round. And let's see. Here we go. There it is. Let's see how I want to do that. Here we go. Give me a second as I fumble around.
As a Somali American who lives in Minnesota, it's really disheartening to hear and to read comments about my community, to hear people write, "Go home." To those people, I want you to know that America is home. I have lived in America since I was 7 years old. So when you tell me to go home, I think, okay, do they want me to go to Minneapolis, where I first lived, or maybe to St. Paul, or Brooklyn Park? Again, we are your neighbors. We are your teachers. We are your principals. We are your lawyers. We are you can fill in the blank. We are Minnesotans. As a Somali American who lives in Minnesota, it's really disheartening to hear and to read comments about my community, to hear people write, "Go home." To those people, I want you to know that America is home. I have lived in America since I was 7 years old. So when you tell me to go home, I think, okay, do they want me to go to Minneapolis, where I first lived, or maybe to St. Paul, or Brooklyn Park? Again, we are your neighbors. We are your teachers. We are your principals. We are your lawyers. We are your, you can fill in the blank. We are Minnesotans. As a Somali American.
All right. All right. Let's get into it. My first question, Doc. When you decided you wanted to make this video, what inspired you to first hit the record button, and secondly, to hit the post button? Floor is yours.
Those are really good questions, Principal Kafele. I want you to know that I am someone who has taught myself that it's important to use my voice. Education for me equals liberation. Education for me equals courage. So when I saw the posts that were coming on, I decided to just make a video and share it with the community on Facebook. Um, just really asking, like, where do you, when you ask me to go home, where do you expect me to go? Because this is the only home that I know. And it took off, and I think I have like 10,000 comments. There are people that are very passionate to defend the Somali community. And for those people, I want to say thank you. I was one of those people too, Principal Kafele, at first. And then I just stopped. I said, you know what? Let these people, let them write whatever it is that they want to write. So I am someone who always loves to use my voice to invite people in. And I really didn't see this taking off in this way. And I really am now concerned about safety as well, to a point where, you know, I've had people email my business email saying, fair warning, you are being hunted. We are cleaning out the garbage from our country. And that's very disheartening to know that our president is encouraging those people to be hateful and to be hateful publicly. They have permission because the president has given them permission. And the president isn't saying, you know, Somalis that are here unlawfully. He said the Somalis, they need to go. That's everybody, he said. They need to go. They shouldn't be in our country. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad we're having this conversation. Now, I want to take this part and I want to tie it into leadership. I want to break this down into 3 segments: students, staff, and parents. So let me ask you the first question. Given that ICE raids are happening, given that you lead students, just focus on them for the moment, inclusive of a 40% Somali student population, how do you, and given the hateful speech that's coming out of the White House, let's not forget that either, how do you lead your students through that reality?
I want you to know that it is a privilege to work at the elementary level. The children at the elementary level are knowledgeable and they have a lot of innocence. So our kids may know, but our kids have not shared concerns with us. However, I'm very fortunate to have staff who are aware of what is being said, and they are working really, really hard to remind students that they belong, that they are safe. So we're working with our kiddos to let them know that they belong. And I know that for people that are leading secondary, middle school, and high school, kids who have access to tablets and phones and are hearing the president, it may be different. And for those principals that are listening, or superintendents and leaders, it is important that we are not silent. It is important that we come out openly to support our communities and to recommit to our commitments to our communities. It's not enough to just say it's in our mission statement. Now more than ever, when you have a president who is saying all the things that he is saying, we cannot remain silent. We have to come out with courage and say, we see you, we love you, you are safe here, and we will continue to be on your side.
Love it. Love it. Second part, how do you lead your staff through the same reality? ICE raids, hateful speech out of the White House, but they're in the building with you.
Yes, my
What
staff,
kind of
again,
leadership do you provide? Go ahead.
yes, my staff are good people. Just yesterday, I had my building leadership team meeting, and my staff mentioned one of my staff who was part of my interview team when I was being hired said, Salma, I know that you are an activist, and that's like one of the best compliments that I can receive. And she said, I know that you're an activist, and I'm worried for you. And, you're out at the crosswalk, you're doing all of these different things. And I just want us to think about safety. So we have reminded our staff about our safety process of not opening the doors, asking everyone to enter from the main door. It really is an opportunity for our community to come together. We have parents that are willing to support families who are impacted. It really has brought our community together. One of our core values in ISD 191, Burnsville, Egan, Savage, is caring community. And now we are coming together to ensure that we are a caring community for our families, and that we communicate to staff who are Somali that they are loved, that they are seen. If Somali staff are not feeling comfortable doing their morning duties, our non-Somali staff are ready to step in and do those morning duties. So it's really brought our community closer together as we work together to support our community and our students and each other during this very, very difficult time.
To the fam out there, let me say this to you before I go on to this third question. For a lot of us, there comes a time when we've got to make a decision, right? We can go along to get along and sustain ourselves, or as Dr. Hussein just said, we can make a choice not to be silent on an issue, right? On various different issues. That's a decision. It's a tough decision, particularly when you're in leadership, because of the consequences that could come your way. But as I'm speaking this way only because you all know, if you've been with me for a while, that I was one that had to speak up, had to be an activist, had to be an advocate, right? I was that guy. So I put it on the line like that. I had a conversation with Dr. Hussein before we went live and told her I don't have to get into this, right? Because I understand when you work in the system. But we said we would, we're not gonna get hardcore, right? But because she's got to go to work Monday, right? But we are having, we're having this conversation. And quite frankly, I host a platform every Saturday morning. And I made a decision that I wanted this conversation to be on this platform, knowing that I will probably lose some followers, right? I know that. But see, there's a word that I've used on this platform a few times, and the word is called consciousness, not woke. That's not in my vocabulary. The word is consciousness, right? And when you have a particular political consciousness, historical consciousness, cultural consciousness, there's certain things that your soul, your spirit won't allow you to turn a blind eye. It won't allow it. You have to take a position. So here I'm sharing that with the fam out there, because in your spaces, in your lives, there's going to be some crossroads at some point, and you're going to have to make a decision. And that decision may be consistent with who you are, your character, or it may be inconsistent. You're going to have to decide, right? I can't be Baruti Kafele. This is me on the job now when I was principal, and it's me as host of a platform. I can't be Baruti Kafele. But then when the situation arises, I become Punk Kafele. I can't do that, because at the end of the day, I got to go here. And I can't go to sleep at night feeling like less than about myself. I got to feel good about me. That matters. So therefore, I got to be consistent across the board, right? That's me talking. I'm not speaking for Dr. Hussein now. That's me jumping in on the conversation, but that's me talking. It's not me trying to encourage anybody either, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But it's me saying that this is a part of leadership too, right? And when you're in leadership, your character and your consciousness will be tested at some point. I don't know when, but they will be tested. Mine was tested. And to this day, I could look in this mirror or the one that's right to my left and say, I feel good about the decisions I made, baby. Did I get in trouble? Yes. Was I suspended? Yes. Did I have a termination hearing? Yes. Did I make all the headlines? Yes. Was I on the TV news, the 10 o'clock news? Yes. But was I still standing at the end of the day? Yes. Because God guided them board members to say, bring that man back unanimously to 7-0. He did nothing wrong. Enough said, y'all. I'm done. Let's go back. Dr. Hussein, let's talk about the parents. I have to assume that there's some parents who have trepidation as well. How do you lead your students' parents in a time like this?
Thank you for that question. And that was so powerful. All the things that you said.
I appreciate you.
The way that I lead my parents is I lead them the same way that I have been leading them. You spoke about character, Principal Kafele. It is important to stand on business, and the business that I stand on is respect. I respect all families. I respect students. I respect education. And it's been really important to let families know that we see them, that we respect them, that we love them, and that we honor them. There are families of all political sides at Gideon Pond Elementary, and all of those families are respected and welcomed. And my leadership in speaking out about what's happening is important to me because, like you said, when you have that consciousness, you have to do the right thing. And the right thing is to use my voice to share what I believe is right. And quite honestly, Principal Kafele, I did not say anything controversial in
Right.
that video that went viral. So
Not at all.
just saying anything can set some people off, and that's on them, quite honestly. It's not on me. They want us to hide and, not be visible, and it's like, no, we're going to take up space. We are American. We are here. And the other thing, Principal Kafele, that Minnesota, there's a lot of conversations about fraud and the Somali community engaging in fraud. And it really is not the whole entire community. It's a small number of people who the mastermind is a woman who is not Somali. The Somali community, those involved with her, called her Sweet Amy. And she's the face of that situation. But people hear that and they feel that the entire community is just stealing from the government. Everything that I've worked for, Dr. Principal Kafele, I have had to pay for. I did not get free education. I have my doctorate and I am paying each month a whole lot of money back to for my student loans that I have had to take. I live in the house that I live in and it wasn't free. The car that I drive isn't free. We pay taxes. We work for the things that we have. And I think there's a misconception about the Somali community. And that misconception, I want to encourage everybody that you have to build relationships with people. I see my sister, Dr. Lakeisha Franks, on here. And Dr. Lakeisha, yes, Dr. Lakeisha and I met recently. She's from St. Louis. And our girls were having a fun opportunity playing together. And Dr. Franks was like, Salma, can I ask you a question? And I said, sure. She said, what's up with the Somali community? And I said, what do you mean? She said, I hear that, Somalis may not like, African Americans. And that gave us an opportunity to lean in and to talk to one another and to say, like, it may be one Somali person who, people have had an experience with, but we can't cast a judgment on the entire community. I really do believe that hurt people, and there are
Mhm.
Somali people that are hurt, and when they interact with anybody, they come from a place of hurt. And we also have to acknowledge, Principal Kafele, that the media does not do justice for our African American brothers and sisters, the way in which the African American community is represented on the media, in the media. So people see that, especially the older Somalis, and they feel that African Americans some of them may feel that African Americans are not working hard enough, that in America, if you work hard enough, you will obtain the American dream. And in reality, we know that there are real systemic barriers that keep people, even those that are working hard, from obtaining the American dream. And you learn that by reading and reading about history. So, for everyone that's listening to us today, if you have had a negative experience with a Somali person, I apologize on behalf of all the Somalis. And I also want to tell you that that person does not represent everybody. Most Somali people love our African American brothers and sisters. Most Somali people are learning American history. And when you learn American history, you learn about the harm and you grow in your respect for our African American brothers and sisters.
Well said. Well said. And it's interesting that you said you couched it in American history, because prior to 2020, I always said Black history, American history. And so 2020, there was an awakening in me, and I said, I don't want to use this word Black history anymore. It's I want to talk about the missing aspects of American history, right? So I want, or missing is one word. I could say omitted, right? I could say marginalized, distorted, caricaturized, all that kind of stuff. But I want to talk about those aspects of this American story, right? And because if it happened on these shores, it's a part of the American story, right? So that's the way that I've been kind of framing it these days, and I probably will for a very long time to come. I got one more for you, and then we go to some of those talking points. I ain't gonna hold you all day, but what therefore, with everything that was just said, what would be your message to fam out there? And when I keep always point this way as if the camera knew, the folks knew what I was pointing at. My thread is over there, right? So, what would be your message to the fam, I should say, out there toward the camera, who may be facing their own adversity or community level adversity, community level turmoil, community level oppression, injustice, whatever, and that leader feeling the need to address it, but feeling trepidation about addressing it, although it impacts the students in their building? What would you say to them?
I would say to them something that one of my mentors, Dr. Joel Gothard, shared with me, which is to find people. It is important that as leaders, we remember that we do not have to do all the work by ourselves. We have to tap in and connect with parents. If we can mobilize parents and have parents speak truth to power, I shouldn't say a lot, some parents may not yet realize the power that they have, that the school system must work with them and for them. So if you are a leader who is noticing inequities in your school and you don't feel like you can yet speak truth to power, I invite you to partner with families and find allies and invite those allies to know that you have to go from reading books to speaking up. and using your voice to speak truth to power. Not just my truth, but our truth, right? This isn't just my opinion, it's facts. And you talked about data, Principal Kafele. Let the data tell the story.
Mm.
Bring up the data and ask curious questions to your staff. Like what are we noticing in this data? Which groups are succeeding? Which groups are not succeeding? And why? And
Yeah.
then keep asking why and why and why until you can get to the root cause. And letting people know, when I have the permission, I'd love to promote a few books, but just learning the difference between shame and guilt. A lot of people, whether they're principals, superintendents, parents, educators, move through their days with a lot of shame, where they feel like they are bad people. And that shame does not, it prevents them from unlearning what they need to unlearn to get right within and to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the floor is yours as far as those books now.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, Principal Kafele, I want you to know, um, I know for our folks of color, Brene Brown has a lot of, there's a lot of critique. She talks a lot about like vulnerability. And I want us to know that there is a lot of value in her work. And in her work, this is the book Daring Greatly. This is a book about vulnerability, it's about shame. And this book really, really helped me heal.
Mm.
Learning the difference between shame, I am bad, and guilt, I did something bad, allowed me to unlearn shame and lean into learning and growth mindset. So, for all the leaders, whether you're a new leader or a veteran leader, seasoned leader, pick up this book and invest the time to get right within. If you are not feeling good about who you are, and not just good, great about who you are, you will struggle as a leader. Another book that I recently came across is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And honestly, letting people, as leaders of color and as leaders in general, we do get tested. And when we get tested, it is important that you recognize it as a test and that you don't react, that you respond. So when you let people do what they need to do, you give yourself permission to do what is right for you. So as a leader, you may hear from staff, hey, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I used to be a principal who wanted to fix things for my staff. And now I realize my staff are highly capable. So when people come to me with concerns, I make sure that I'm able to work with them and help them come up with solutions. And then lastly, this is the book from our amazing, amazing brother. Everybody's got to pick up this book. It's a really good book. And then Principal Kafele, I heard the message. What is your value instructionally to the teacher I supervise? I heard the deadline was December 16th.
Yeah, to hit that bestseller mark. We had
Yep.
9,000 something something, and
Very nice. I will order
I
right after
appreciate
we get done here. So that's another book. I just want everybody to understand that Principal Kafele is phenomenal and the work that he is doing is incredible work.
appreciate
And you can listen to what he is saying, but you really need to listen to understand and to understand yourself and to get right within, because you said like you're confident, you are who you are, and you bring your energy, and energy is important. Check your energy and make sure that the energy that you bring into spaces is the right energy.
I love it. I love it. You know, I want to touch on three of your talking points, but before I do, I want to highlight two words that you said. One was allies, and that's critical, folks. Fam out there, do you have allies in your space? Do you have people who advocate for you, right? Who fight for you? See, when I went through my mess, I had a whole city behind me. I had a whole PTA behind me. I had my staff behind me. You can't do this thing in a vacuum, somebody. So if you're somebody and you're trying to be superhero, you're trying to be Joe Clark from the movie you watch, Lean on Me, and you don't understand that that's just Hollywood. That's not really who he was. Talk to anybody from Paterson, New Jersey, and they will tell you that's just a Hollywood version, right? But I'm telling you, you got to have allies in this work, and not just in terms of when the stuff hits the fan, just folks you could lean on, right? Folks that you may be going through challenging situations, but your allies, they've been through it already. They already figured it out. Do you have these people in your world that you could lean on, right? Not just people, but people who do what you do that really understand it, right? Because you could have a thought partner, an accountability partner that knows nothing about principal leadership, right? So there's a limitation there. So, just think about those things. So that word, it was strong, but then in one of the books you highlighted, you said unlearn shame. That resonated with me. Unlearn shame. Hey fam, again, you could be bringing a certain level of shame with you. How do you unlearn that, right? As opposed to taking ownership of it and it never allowing you to reach them heights that you were born with the capacity to reach, right? That matters. Let me put this is big time. He said, "We love you, Dr. Salma." Yeah. So let's look at 3 of these talking points, and then we'll wrap it up. Where are we at here? Let me go. I said, okay, the first one I wanted to talk about. Feedback, when rooted in care and clarity, is an act of love. What are you saying to us?
What I'm saying, Principal Kafele, is that as principals, assistant principals, teachers, whatever your position is, we have a responsibility to be clear and to provide feedback. And when that feedback is done in a respectful way, when it is clear, it is an act of love. And sometimes it is hard for folks to hear feedback. And one of my anchors that I have used is the Brene Brown quote that says, "Clear is kind and unclear is unkind." Minnesota is known for Minnesota nice, where people aren't always honest about what they're thinking. So I've been able to lean on a scholar like Brene to just let people know I care about you. And because I care, I'm going to be real with you. And I'm not judging you. I'm not talking about you as a person. I'm talking about the strategy that you are using and how it is not resonating with the children. I'm talking about the approach or your behavior. You are separate. Your humanity is not linked to your behavior. You are worthy, you are amazing, and this behavior is problematic. So we have to be clear and specific in giving feedback. It may be uncomfortable, and as leaders, I am a recovering people pleaser, Principal Kafele. I love harmony. I love peace. My name stems from peace. And I realize that it is okay for people to not like me. However, the non-negotiable is respect. We have to respect one another. So
Yeah.
I provide the feedback, and it is on my folks that I work with to take that feedback. And Principal Kafele, it's important for me to let my teachers know that they can give the feedback to me too. One of the questions that I've asked my team this year is, how are you experiencing me as your leader?
Mm,
And a lot of folks have said, like, Selma, we feel like, because I've told people, I feel like you have brilliant ideas that are different than what I share, but you don't really speak up. And they're like, but we want to be respectful to you. And I've had to share with my staff, respect looks like honesty to me. I want to hear from you. I want us to respectfully disagree. So it's helping my staff unlearn what they consider respect, which is staying quiet and then possibly having a meeting with the folks that they feel comfortable with, letting them know, like, my job is to strive to be someone that you believes in you and supports you and has your back. And having your back doesn't mean a lack of accountability. Having your back means we have a standard of excellence, and there is individual accountability and there is collective accountability.
mm. Wow. That's powerful stuff. That's why I love this platform so much. Hey, Farron, let me repeat the question. How are you experiencing me as a leader? you might want to take that one back to school on Monday, right? Or maybe close out the year, the calendar year, in at the end of these, whenever your schools close for December, like you have your final staff meeting and just put that question out, jot it on the paper or on the computer. How are you experiencing me as a leader? That's that feedback. And when you think about the fact that it's staff responding, so when rooted in care and clarity, when they feel safe to be honest, that's love. See, that's love. You see, y'all see how I work that? That's love, right? So the word that's really inherent in that question is culture. So is there a culture of feedback? Is there a culture of care? Is there a culture of clarity so that therefore the love can manifest? Oh man, I need to write the book, right? So I love that. That's a good one, y'all. That's a good one. Let's go to this second one. You said schools thrive when adults feel valued, supported, and trusted. Go ahead and teach.
And Principal Kafele, if the opportunity ever presents itself, maybe we can write that book together.
Ah,
Um, so this leadership mindset as principals, as assistant principals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, we have to respect the people that we lead. We have to respect teachers. Our teachers are professionals. We have to trust our teachers. We have to talk to our teachers. We have to care about our teachers. We have to get off, like in my school, one of the feedbacks that I've received is that, Salma, it feels like, you are the principal, but like there's shared leadership.
mm,
And that's important to me because I know that my school has been a great school before I stepped into my school. And my passion is to care for my staff and to make sure that they are valued, that they are supported, and that I trust them. And that is every single day doing the best that I can to build that trust and knowing that trust isn't accomplished overnight. It is a combination of small acts, consistent acts that I do each and every day to increase that trust with my staff. And letting my staff know, Principal Kafele, like I talk to a lot of folks and I tell them, like, I see awesomeness in you. Have you considered becoming a principal?
yeah,
Having those conversations. And right now, I have a parent of one of my students, and it brings me so much joy that she has taken on the coursework and reached out to me about doing her internship with me, tapping on the shoulders of the staff that we have and not limiting them to just the position that they have, asking them, what brings you joy? Where do you see yourself? What is your dream? How can I support you get to that dream? And of course, I would love for you to stay in this classroom because you're doing a great job. But my job as a principal is to create pathways for not just the kids that we have at our school, but also for our staff. Because when they are connected to their purpose, they bring the best for our kids and they operate from a place of joy and a place of respect because teaching is hard and it is important for us to remember that it is a privilege and an honor to work with children each and every day and a privilege and an honor to work with our parents and
yeah,
all parents.
that's right. That's right. Good stuff. Good stuff. I said only three, but there's this one that's eating away at me. Let me just put it up here. Um, we talked about in terms of the goal is not equality, the goal is justice, access, and liberation. But you know something? Um, we talked about this in the context of equity. I want to talk about it in the context, and this will be the last one of what you have written here: justice, access, and liberation. Right? Talk to us about what you mean when you say that is the goal.
The goal is for children to know about themselves and to know about history the book that you referred to, the miseducation, there is miseducation that is happening in our schools. And it's not happening intentionally, but it's part of the ways in which we teach, and we have to examine that. I remember Principal Kafele a few years ago, there was a group of young men who, boys that were in one of my grades at school, and they were getting into some dynamics. And I remember doing lunch bunch with them as the principal. And in that lunch bunch, it was important for me to communicate to them the data and the research that shows that boys of color experience a lot of referrals to the principal's office. It was important for me to share that with them. So then that way they knew that they could change, that first they could be informed, but then they had that knowledge. And one of my kiddos who was in that group actually was pulled out of class one day, and he had the courage to tell the teacher, like, oh, Miss Sama told us that boys that look like me are, called out for behaviors. And it gave me an opportunity to connect with that teacher, because the teacher came up to me and she's like, I'm just shocked, Selma, because this child shared this with me. And I was like, well, it's the truth that Black boys, they're over identified, they're over referred, their behavior is very visible, hyper visible. And I do want our Black boys to know that, so that way when it happens to them, they don't internalize it as they're bad or they're doing something bad. Again, that shame. Too often, some of us try to hold kids accountable, but the way in which we do that is punitive and it's shame based. It doesn't teach the child to stop doing what is problematic. It makes the child feel bad about themselves. And I don't want any part to do with that. I want every child at Gideon Pond to feel good about themselves, to know that they can make mistakes, and to know that the adults at our school care about them, see them, and as adults, we make mistakes too. And when we do, to apologize. And that liberation piece, Principal Kafele, anybody can go to school. However, you have to really learn to learn, and you have to acknowledge that the system is designed to produce its current reality. And as Dr. Ibrahim Kendi said, he said that every policy is either racist or anti-racist. There's no exception. Every
Right.
policy is racist or anti-racist. So when we know that, then we can operate from a place of awareness and a place of doing better and being better and working on the system to make the system better instead of people.
Mhm.
The people don't need to be changed. It's the system that needs to be changed to be more inclusive and rooted in empathy and compassion, and not sympathy, feeling sorry for certain communities.
Powerful words, folks. Powerful words. I wish I could go through all of these, but the good thing is she'll be back. Be back May 13th. Mark your calendars, folks. I think that's the date. Mark your calendars. She'll be back with us. Part 2. Let's go to our rapid fire before we give all your contact information, all that. If you've seen this portion before, this is just one sentence. You could even reduce it to one word. If you feel yourself inserting a comma, then it's gone too long, right? So 21 questions. Starting off, do you feel that education is currently on the right path for underserved children?
No.
Do you feel that true equity can occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Yes.
And you can get a whole sentence if you want to. I don't want
Okay.
you, feel free. Does Dr. Salma Hussein's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
I hope so.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
The same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
My job is to protect and serve our children. That's why, the children and the families and the staff.
Love it. What fires you up particularly within the work you do?
The opportunity to connect and to hold space for folks and to remind them that they too can be part of the solution.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
The politics.
What has been your greatest victory in your work thus far?
The greatest victory, partnering with families and my staff to do the right thing for our students.
What was your greatest mistake thus far in your work?
My greatest mistake probably was hustling to be accepted
Mm,
for worthiness.
mm. What has been your greatest challenge in your work thus far?
My greatest challenge is how slow the system works to change.
Understood. Understood. Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
I sure am.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Yes, most definitely.
Who inspires you in your work?
All good people, all good people, including yourself, my mom and dad.
I appreciate it. What book do you recommend for the fam out there this afternoon? And you probably just gave them, right?
Yep, I sure did.
Yeah. What do you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished yet?
I want to have the opportunity to be in community with more good people to remind them of their worth and to reignite their passions and to connect with their purpose.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally? I don't mean
I am.
local. I mean you. Okay.
Yep.
Is there another gear to your leadership, or are you at peak performance now?
There is, I am interested in stepping into more opportunities where I can speak and connect and build with others who are doing good work.
And we'll talk about that off camera, how we get you to another level. Um, what would you say to an AP out there who continues to face closed doors to the lead to the principalship?
Believe in yourself, put yourself out there. Social media is incredible. Like you are your brand. Put your story out there. Don't be shy to reach out. Tell people who you are. It's not bragging, it's highlighting, spotlighting yourself. And rejection is part of the process.
Yeah, rejection is part of the process. What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership passion?
Spend time with yourself and get right within.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership confidence?
Ask yourself why and spend time with yourself again. Unpack, and get rid of the things that are weighing you down.
And finally, if Dr. Salma Hussein was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Courageous.
Courageous. I think that's a good one. Great stuff. Let me be the first to applaud you. No, I'm lying. I'm not the first because all the emojis are showing up on my thread. So let me be one of the folks to applaud you. To the fam out there, to the regulars, I appreciate you starting us off. Give us your favorite emojis if today's session resonated with you, if it was good to you, if it was beneficial for you, if it was useful, if you can infuse it or incorporate it into your practice, or if it just helped you to grow as a leader, maybe gave you some further insight. Give us your favorite emojis. Keep them coming, keep them coming, keep them coming. To the new people on here who this is your first time on, obviously this is what we do. So give us your emojis too if today's session was good to you, beneficial for you, useful, just good stuff, good way to spend a little bit of your time today. And while doing so, I'll get my emoji, which is my Louisville Slugger. And you hit it out the park every time you came to the plate. Grand slam, bases were loaded. And yeah, you knocked it out. It was Doc, this was powerful. This was a great session. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Looking forward to you coming back. But you're a speaker, and let the folks know how they get in touch with you, how they book you, how they follow you, how they read those quotes that you have on your page. Give them your social media, give them everything. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much. If you just search drsalmaspeaks.com, you will find my website on I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram. My passion, quite honestly, is connecting with good people. And all people are good people as long as you are committed to growth. And it is important that leaders invest in themselves My passion is helping folks remove barriers and connect with themselves. Everybody has gifts that they have. And sometimes when we are in education, we forget what our gifts are because there's so much busyness that we all participate in. I love holding space for good people, celebrating good people, being in community with good people. And finally, I just want to reiterate to all of my African American brothers and sisters that are listening, if you have had a negative experience with a Somali person, just know that that is one experience. They do not reflect all of our community. There is unity in community, and there's power in being united.
Love it, love it. That's powerful stuff, and we got people out here putting the information for us. So here we go. There's a whole website, www.drsalmaspeaks.com. Reach out to her. You know, I did so much reading on you and researching you. Now, I also read that you are a TikTok influencer. That's what was said. So that's your platform. I'm not on TikTok. I probably should be. Every young person tells me I need to be there, but I'm not there. My family is. I'm just not. But even my wife is on it. She's on it a lot. But I'm just not there. But I probably need to go on just so I can see your stuff, you know. So I'll probably get on there and just be one of those spies that just looks at people and doesn't contribute. Who knows? That's why my numbers are so low on Instagram, because the young people were telling me forever to get on Instagram, and I just refuse. And then finally I got on it last year, I think. But all my folks were already on Facebook, which is, you know, it kind of overlaps, man. We got like where we at, like 66,000 followers on Facebook. So nobody, I guess the folks don't want to just duplicate. So it's only like 5,000 something on Instagram. So we'll see. I don't know. But anyway.
Principal Kafele, can I
Yeah.
just say, I
Yeah.
want you to know, you mentioned you have haters early on, and
Yeah.
I think you were I just want you to know everybody knows Principal Kafele. Like, the work that you do speaks for itself. I just want you to know everybody that needs to know knows. And you talked about how there are newbies who don't yet know. And the thing about leadership is that you have to have the desire to seek out information, and those that don't know about you yet, that speaks to them not being ready to look for what they need. So I just want you to know that you're doing good work. You've changed so many lives. I keep sending people to your resources, and I am a testament to the good work that you are doing, because I was stuck. I had received 38 rejections, and then I watched your
Really?
video. It put me on. Yes. I learned how to use the language, and I showed up to my interview, and guess what? I got the job. So
Wow.
thank you for what you're doing. You're part of so many people's stories. You're making a difference, and your legacy is a beautiful legacy. So I want to give you your flowers and say thank you for having me today.
I appreciate those flowers too. I really do. You know, I was somewhere the other day, South Carolina, and the young man said to me, he said, and I hear this a lot, but I guess I just haven't grasped it yet. But he said, Kafele, you don't know your impact. You don't know your influence. You'll never know, but we know. I'm like, man. And I hear that, but I haven't fully embraced it, because I can't imagine what that means yet. You know what I mean? But I think that keeps me humble too, keeps me grounded, and that's a good thing, you know. So I continue to wake up on Saturday mornings and do this consecutively for 293 sessions. But the amount of time planning, because let me tell you something, you and I talk like middle of the week. So I was already preparing to do a solo. Man, I had so much work I did between when we talked and up to now, and I was bugging you a little bit, right? Getting that information, right? But because I started so late. But I'm saying that to the fam to say this. I work hard to make this thing work every Saturday, man. Y'all don't know, man. Again, I ain't getting Shannon Sharp money. I get gas money, right? I can't make no living off of this. I get enough to put like a half tank in my new ride outside, right? Y'all know I got that new ride. I hadn't had a car in 6 years, so I'm still excited about having going outside and not driving my wife's car, but driving my own car. I just didn't need a car. I still don't need one, but since I got it, I like it, you know. So, and don't ask me what I got. I ain't telling you, right? So, but anyway, good stuff, good stuff. Let me close us out, folks. So stay there a second. I'm gonna put you backstage for a second. Don't leave me. All right, all right. Listen here, y'all. Appreciate you being here. Always, always. Join me next week for week number 294. We got the return of the 3 superintendents, 2 from the U.S. and 1 from Canada. This will be Dr. Deborah Wortham from New York, Dr. Shannon Vincent from Mississippi, and Dr. Joanna Robertson, who's out in Canada. I don't know what we're going to discuss yet. I'll figure that out later on. But the first time they came on, it was so powerful that I asked them to come back. So come on. What's my man Vincent Stallings saying on here, man? He said, "Tank in my ride outside." Tank outside. Tank in my ride outside is a bar. Oh, it's a bar. So I need to write the whole song. I need to make that rhyme though first, Vin. Yeah. So, but again, y'all, join me next week. So again, every Saturday morning, I'm gonna say Facebook, but you hit me up on YouTube. I don't want y'all watching me on Facebook anymore. Watch us on YouTube. I'm only speaking for me. I'm not speaking for the others. But watch me on YouTube at AP and New Principals Academy. I'm trying to bring everybody over, but use a name that I'll recognize you. Don't have Vincent Stallings on Facebook and then over on YouTube you Slam Dunker, you know, or something like that, right? I ain't gonna know who you are. I'm point guard, right? I ain't gonna know who you are. So make sure that you have like a name that I'll know. Oh, okay, you still with me. Right. All right. So here we go. 10 o'clock, Sean Hurt, Create and Educate, Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor, 10:30. AP New Principals Academy, 10:55 on YouTube. PGP podcast with Josh Tovar and Marty Moreno on Sundays at 6 o'clock Eastern. Hey, y'all, don't forget. I need y'all to hook a brother up. Where we at? Right here, right here. Again, for those of you that missed this, it's not me ego tripping and saying, you know, act like some of the pastors we see on social media. I ain't trying to do that. What I'm saying to you is this administration ran the economy into the ground. Y'all do know that, right? Even those of you who are on that side of the aisle, this economy's not good. Don't tell me you go into the grocery store and the eggs are priced where you want them to be, the bread and so forth. But I don't do grocery shopping. I do other things, but my wife takes care of that. But I see them bills. I'm like, dang, right? So the publishing industry was not isolated from everything else. The publishing industry, not my publisher in isolation. The industry took a hit. And for the first time, I write a book that's not selling the way I'm accustomed to it selling. So in order for it to be a bestseller at ASCD, it's got to sell 10,000 in year 1. We usually hit 10,000 by year. I cancel that. By month, it's got within year 1. So we usually get that by like month number 5 or 6. Here we are in the 12th month, and I still haven't hit 10,000. We had 9,000 and some change, man. I already told ASCD it ain't gonna happen, right? I said I'm good with it. I understand the world we live in. I understand this administration. I understand these tariffs. I ain't say I agree with it. I just understand its impact on the economy, right? So I still would be pleased to see this book as a bestseller. So if you can, get the book before the 16th. Who knows? Maybe a miracle will happen, and I'll be on here the 16th saying we're a bestseller. Or if not, I'm gonna say it's a bestseller in my heart because I understand the ramifications. I get it, right? So I ain't even mad no more. I've come to say this is the world we live in. I ain't nothing I can do about it, but just be a voice in the wilderness, and that's it. So here we are. I got a conference coming up. Let me just put it on the screen one more time. Let me get rid of this. Oh no, it's not the right one. Here we go. We got this conference coming up, y'all, and I want y'all to be a part of this if you can. We'll be at Seton Hall University in South Orange. All you do, go to the website on the bottom of the screen, hit the QR code. Either way, you'll see the registration. My man, Dr. Principal, Dr. Salome Thomas L, Principal L, and he is the author of his newest book, and I wrote the foreword to this book. Get yourself a copy, but also he'll be the keynote. There'll be a whole lot of breakout session presenters. I'm not a presenter. I'm the host. But you know, if I'm the host, I'm going to have a microphone, so I'll be saying something. So along with Dr. Tanya Breland and Dr. Erica Leak, right? So register now. Get it out the way for February 16. And I'm not talking about just Jersey people. I'm talking internationally or nationally. Come on to Jersey, right? February 16, President's Day. Schools will be closed, so come on through. Newark Airport's functioning pretty well. Then you're going to fly right on out of Newark Airport at the end of the day and get home and be at school the next day, right? So we're looking forward to seeing you. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Here we go. Okay. Oh, I didn't mean that either. Here we go. Also, the School Leadership Institute, the 9th Annual School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele, will be in Savannah, Georgia this year, July 9 and 10. Again, July 9 and 10. Come on out and join us, man. We're going to have a ball. We're going to have a blast. We're going to be talking about instructional leadership and other things. It will not be a repeat of last year. Always fresh and got new content. Those of you going to the National Alliance of Black School Educators NAPSE conference this week, I'll be there in Chicago. I'll be there Friday. I won't be there all the days because I got other places I'm speaking, right? But I'll be there Friday. Come on and join me. And some of you heard the announcement last week. I'm the president-elect of the National Alliance of Black School Educators New Jersey affiliate, right? So that's a big deal for me. And I hope it's a big deal for the organization. But I'm the president-elect. I got to serve in that capacity for 2 years, though, so I won't be president until I'm 67, right? I'm 65 now, but 2 years will be here. I'll still be acting like I'm young, so we good. Subscribe to the AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Once again, subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Be a part of that 24,600 some odd subscribers, but we're trying to get to 25,000 now. We've been here long enough, so make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Check out principalkafele.com for additional resources. That's my website, principalkafele.com. And then finally, your diet. I was in Vegas last week, so you know I ain't eat the best. I'll admit it, but I'm back home now. Well, I was at the Knicks game last night at the Garden, so you know I didn't eat right last night, man. Hot dogs and popcorn and pretzels. Are you kidding me? We'll fix that today, though. Right? Your exercise, get that in. I might go to the gym, right? Like as soon as I get off of here today. I might. We'll see. If not, I'll be there tomorrow for sure. And then your virus precautions. Let me tell y'all something. It's a lot out here, y'all. If you got that flu shot like me, if you've been keeping up with the news, a new variant is out here that the flu shot doesn't cover. Isn't that something? Right? But so goes life. But just take care of yourself however you're going to take care of yourself. Other than that, y'all, thanks for being here. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Now cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I'll see y'all next Saturday.